A new police contract could be on the way with better pay and benefits for current and new Wichita police officers. WPD is still at critical staffing levels, which means that you could be waiting hours for an officer to get to your emergency. Fact Finder investigator Haley Tucker talked with the police union president about the potential new contract and how the number of officers leaving continues to climb.
Fact Finder first told you this summer the Wichita Police Department is struggling when it comes to keeping its officers and hiring new ones. It's a nationwide problem. Wichita Police Chief Joe Sullivan said needs to be solved immediately.
We need more officers, but we need to pay the ones we have better.
The number of officers leaving the department continues to rise. WPD Union President David Inklar says another issue is how many are eligible to retire.
We're still at around 140 officers that could leave for retirement any time, but we're still over 100 now, and so we're trying to work that on both sides, where we keep the officers that we have and then try to attract new officers to the department.
To help with critical staffing levels, the union asked the City of Wichita and its city manager Bob Layton to open the current contract to increase wages and benefits. Inklar says that's an immediate thing that will potentially help keep officers and hire new ones.
We're still waiting for the city to provide some dates so that we can sit down and meet. So we don't know what the city is going to offer. So we look at Fort Worth, Tulsa. There's several other cities, Kansas City, Kansas, that we go up against to see what their pay is, what the benefits are, to try to attract within the region.
It was easy 30 minutes to an hour for both situations.
I was probably on the phone the first time like 30 minutes.
We've actually had to wait 6-7 hours for officers to show up.
Several told Fact Finder they waited more than 10, 20, 30 minutes for officers to get on scene to their emergencies. We wanted to know what the average time is for an officer to get on scene for Wichita's highest priority calls. For calls like kidnappings and active assaults, it took an average of 9 minutes and 22 seconds to get on scene. For calls like shootings and armed robberies, an average of 7 minutes 44 seconds. Many times, officers got on scene within a couple of minutes, but out of the 41,000 calls we looked at, more than 300 of those took more than an hour, sometimes multiple hours for officers to get on scene. There is no national standard for response times. Inklar says the minutes or hours it takes officers to get on scene can impact the victim or allow the suspect time to get away. He says officers are trying to get to your calls, but many times they're on other emergency calls and there's not enough of them to make it to all within a couple of minutes. He says if there were more officers the department could utilize on the streets of Wichita, the response times would be better.
This is something that needs to happen immediately so that we can fill the number of officers and vacancies that we have, so that we can start providing better services to the community.
Again, the union says it's up to the city manager Bob Layton to look at the current contract to decide if changes need to be made to benefits and salary. We asked Bob Layton multiple times if we could sit down and interview with him to see what he thinks, but he declined. The Wichita Police Department says to help with retention and recruitment, it's currently ramping up how it recruits. It's got a new recruiting team, creating a new recruiting video, and says it communicates better with applicants. But Chief Sullivan says better pay and benefits are what will immediately help.